right, let's talk about one of the coolest challenges in chemistry. How do you actually do calculations with gases? I mean, how do you measure something you often can't even see? Seriously, think about it. It's not like you can just scoop some gas onto a scale or start counting molecules one by one. It seems kind of impossible, right? So what's the trick? Well, the answer comes from this guy, Amedeo Avogadro, way back in the 1800s. He came up with this beautifully simple idea that just completely changed the game for anyone working with gases. Here it is, Avogadro's hypothesis, and it's so powerful. It basically says if you've got equal volumes of any gases, doesn't matter if it's hydrogen or oxygen or carbon dioxide, as long as they're at the same temperature and pressure, they have the exact same number of molecules.
Listed are the main insights for the heading discussed. Note them specifically since they are highly relevant for exams.
So what does that really mean for us? It means Avogadro gave us an unbelievable shortcut. We can stop worrying about counting invisible particles. All we have to do is measure the volume a gas takes up, and that tells us how many moles we're dealing with. It's that simple. And this leads us to the magic number for today's explainer, 24.0 cubic decimeters. At what we call room temperature and pressure, or RTP, 1 mole of any gas fills up this exact amount of space. This is the number we're going to use for everything. Okay, so now that we have this fundamental rule and our magic number, let's put it to work and see how it handles some basic calculations. So let's start with a really straightforward one. Let's say we have 0.40 moles of nitrogen gas. The question is, how much space does it take up at room temperature and pressure? The logic here is just beautiful. We know 1 mole takes up 24.0 cubic decimeters. So if we have 0.40 moles, we just multiply. 24.0 times 0.40 gives us 9.6 cubic decimeters. And that's it. Job done. All right, let's kick it up a notch. This time, we're going to work backwards. We're starting with a volume, 120 cubic centimeters of methane, and we need to figure out its mass. This one has a few more steps, but the logic is just as clean. You see, it's just a logical chain. First, we've got to get our units right, so we convert cubic centimeters to cubic decimeters. Then, we use our magic number, 24.0, to turn that volume into moles. And once you have moles, that's your bridge to calculating mass. It's a simple path, volume to moles and then moles to mass. Okay, now for the main event. We are going to become chemical detectives. We're going to use everything we've learned to solve a mystery, figuring out the molecular formula of propane using only the volumes of gases in its reaction. But first, we need to lock in one more key idea. Take the reaction to make water. Experimentally, you'll find that 20 cubic centimeters of hydrogen react perfectly with 10 cubic centimeters of oxygen. That's a 2-to-1 volume ratio. Well, thanks to Avogadro, that means the mole ratio is also 2-to-1. And that's our secret weapon. For gases, volume ratios are mole ratios. So here's the evidence from our case file. When we burn 50 cubic centimeters of propane, it uses up 250 cubic centimeters of oxygen and produces 150 cubic centimeters of carbon dioxide. These are our only clues. So what do we do with these numbers? Well, the trick is to simplify them. We just divide all 3 volumes by the smallest one, which is 50. And check it out, we get a clean ratio of 1 to 5 to 3. This isn't just a volume ratio anymore, this is our mole ratio. This is the clue that unlocks the entire mystery. Okay, let's start the deduction. We know 1 mole of propane produces 3 moles of carbon dioxide. So where did the carbon in those 3 CO2 molecules come from? It had to come from that one propane molecule. And since each CO2 has 1 carbon atom, our propane molecule must have exactly 3 carbon atoms. Just like that, we have the first part of our formula, C3. Now let's track the oxygen. Our ratio told us 5 moles of oxygen molecules were used in total. We already figured out we made 3 moles of CO2, which accounts for 3 of those moles of O2. So we started with 5, we've used 3. Where did the other 2 moles of O2 go? Well, they must have reacted with the hydrogen to form water. Let's follow this last clue. Those 2 leftover moles of O2 molecules contain a total of 4 moles of oxygen atoms. Those 4 oxygen atoms combine with hydrogen to make 4 moles of water, so 4H2O. And if you're making 4 water molecules, each needing 2 hydrogens, well, you must have started with 8 hydrogen atoms, and they came from the propane. So the value of X is 8. And case closed. The formula is C3H8. It's propane. We just deduced its exact molecular formula and balanced the entire chemical equation just from measuring gas volumes. That is an amazing piece of chemical detective work. Now, this is a pretty neat trick for a chemistry class, but you might be wondering, why does this really matter in the real world? Turns out, the applications are incredibly important. Just take this example. In an operating room, an anesthetist is performing incredibly precise calculations based on gas volumes. They have to deliver the exact number of moles of an anesthetic needed to keep a patient safely unconscious. This isn't just theory. It's a high-stakes, life-or-death application of these very principles. So what are the big things to remember? First, Avogadro's brilliant insight. For gases, equal volumes mean equal moles. Second, that magic number, 24.0 cubic decimeters, is the volume of 1 mole of any gas at standard conditions. And third, that powerful technique of using volume ratios as a direct shortcut to finding mole ratios and solving chemical puzzles. And that leaves us with a final thought. We just uncovered the identity of propane with a few simple measurements of volume. It really makes you wonder, what other complex chemical mysteries could be solved with such an elegant and simple tool?
Relevant keywords for this topic are shown on the screen, grouped by different examination boards. These terms need special attention during study as they are critical and should not be ignored under any condition. Along with this, past paper analysis is given for every board and type of paper. Be sure to review this thoroughly, as it will help improve your preparation significantly. Also focus on understanding the meaning and application of each keyword instead of memorizing them individually. Regular practice using these terms in past paper will increase your accuracy and exam success.
Please subscribe our channel to get more educational videos. Thank you.